Hi, and welcome to THFC Till I Die podcast show today on Tuesday, the 11th of March 2023, where myself, Queen Ellie Hoybier, and Mia from Spurs Between the Lines talk all things Tottenham, which we couldn't talk about on Newsbeat. Now, guys, there's a few topics I want to go through today with you
Yeah,
and love to get your thoughts on it. We've got the race for top four. We got the Scott Munn situation, which you, me, Ellie, have not even discussed yet because we haven't been on the streams due to obvious reasons. So that'd be good to catch up with that. We've got the
yeah,
manager as well. And as well, we'd love to get Mia's thoughts on that as well. So I'll tell you where we're going to start. We will start on the fans. This is something I want to start on. Is the
yeah,
fans booing at the match on Saturday? Now, Ellie, you were there. Um,
yeah.
Now, with the fans booing at halftime and during the game, are the fans right to boo the team? And also, Ellie, the way I was looking at it was,
Hmm.
does it affect the players? And a lot of people were saying that we play like the away team when it comes to when we play at White Hart Lane. Do you think the players are having
Yeah.
a reaction to what the fans are doing, and it's the loss of confidence? Ellie, do you think that could be it? You were there Saturday, so
It's
you'd be
like,
better to tell me.
yeah, it's like the life's been sucked out of every
Mm,
Spurs fan, really. It's like they go through the motions, and when they're
mm,
singing, they're not singing with all their heart. The only time they did do is when they cheered for Pochettino to come back. But yeah, the booing was sort of muted as well. It wasn't
mm,
like a full boo; it was like a muted boo, like to say we're not satisfied,
mm,
but we're not going to boo you fully because you did try,
mm,
but it's not good enough. You can tell the fans want more. You know, they deserve more as well. We
mm,
we all deserve more. People that pay 50, 60, 70 quid to go and watch that
mm,
rubbish, it's not good. You know, and you don't mind if the players are putting in effort. That's why I think it was a muted boo.
mm,
It wasn't a full blown boo right round the
mm,
ground that echoed. You
mm.
know, so
I
yeah.
mean, Amir, look, where do you see this booing? And look, every fan has a right to boo Mia. We all pay our season tickets or our memberships or our tickets for the game. We all buy stuff in the stadium or the club shop. So we feel we have a right. We can boo the team. Where do you stand in this booing? Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? Where do you stand on it?
So my opinion is that I don't agree with it, but I support anybody who wishes to do it
Mm,
because, like you say, people are entitled to express their opinion how they want,
mm,
and if that's how they wish to express their dissatisfaction with the football that they're being served up, I'm absolutely all for it. Absolutely. However, personally, I don't think it's effective. Personally, I don't think it's a good thing to do. I wouldn't do it because
Mm.
I don't think in any other aspect of work would you stand there and boo somebody if they weren't doing their job correctly. That's not what we do. Like, that's not what
mm,
you do. It's not constructive. So, but I understand that it's hard to be
No.
constructive when the player's on the pitch and you can't speak to them personally. So I kind of get it. But personally, for me, I don't agree with it, and I wouldn't do it myself. I mean, I don't
Look,
not agree with it. I mean, I don't agree with
mm,
the fact to do it. I wouldn't do it, but I can
no.
say I can understand why people do. Absolutely.
Mm. Look. From my own opinion, and it's look. I think I sort of agree with you, Mia. I don't like it myself, but you have a right to do it. But I think for the Josh that we've been watching, and I think with the defensive football we've been watching for the last 3 years, look, I think it's valid that fans boo. Tottenham's supposed to be an attacking side, supposed to play in the front foot, supposed to play sides down the years that have been attacking minded. So look, fans are frustrated, so of course they're going to boo. Ellie, where does frustration lay? Do you think does it lay with the managers that we brought in? Does it lay with Levy and the board? Does it lay with the players that we keep going back all the time? Stellini said he doesn't tell the players to pass back. So who's is it? Who should take the blame, or is it a collective blame that everyone has to take responsibility for what's happening, or is it the players and the manager? Levy has got nothing to do with picking the side or how the training's done. So really,
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Where will you lay the blame?
It's got to be for everybody, I think, because you
Mm,
can't just pin the blame on one person, because
mm,
the team have to go out there and perform. The manager has to get them motivated to perform.
mm,
And when it isn't going well, it's his job to pick up the team and make them play well, and show them the right way how to play in a system that is defensive, right? But if you're going to be like that, play it
mm,
well, because we're
mm,
not defending well, because we've conceded so many goals. So everybody has to hold their hand up and say, look, we've all got to pull together and work this one out.
mm,
We've got to change. Sometimes we've got to change tactically within a game when
mm,
it's not working as well, because we've seen too much of that this season, where people are not pulling their weight and we're not doing the things tactically right. So I want to see everybody take responsibility, and also the players have to be encouraged as well, because like on a lot of the games I've been this season, it's not the same, Dermot.
mm,
It's very muted,
mm.
and the fans have had the life sucked out of them, because we're not playing on the front foot all the time.
No.
We do it in spits and spats. We
Mm,
should be doing it all the time, not playing like the away team at White Hart Lane. And
mm,
we've come unstuck 3 or 4 times at home, and we could have easily come unstuck against Brighton. They
mm.
were very lucky, Brighton, not to win that match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Mia, look, you had the Levy out chance, then you had the Pochettino chance, you got the booing. Are we a fan base that is divided, Mia? Are we divided into 3 separate camps here? That it's like you're either a Levy out, you're Poch in, and a section of the fans boo. Why are we so divided? And I'm going to say it, but I hope it comes across the way I mean it, but I don't mean to disrespect anyone. Are we at civil war within the fan base?
No, I think what happens is people miscommunicate. So a lot of the time, there isn't actually separate camps. There's a lot of crossovers. So somebody might say that they wanted Conte out,
Mm-hmm.
but there's somebody who wants Levy out. But there might be someone who wanted Levy out, but wanted Conte to stay. So there's definitely a lot of crossovers. But I think it's a lot of miscommunication within the fan base, because everybody has their opinion, and sometimes sometimes people, they don't listen. They just think about what they want to say, so they're not communicating correctly to actually understand what the other person is fully saying to them. So I could be saying the same thing as somebody, and they're not listening to you, and they're not thinking about it. They're just thinking, oh, they said this and I don't agree with it, so they want to quickly fire back at you, but then you're like, no, I actually did agree with you in part. So I think it is a lot of the time, the divide is actually a lot of miscommunication between people. I think there's probably a lot more ground where people agree than they don't agree, but I think it's just the way that it's communicated that's the problem, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, Ellie, you go to most of the games yourself. Are we at civil war within the fan base? Oh, are we?
No, I agree with Mia a lot. But I think it's Mia's title of her show is Spurs Between the Lines. They should actually read between the lines before they comment, and really take on board what that person's saying before they hit back. There's a lot of people that jump on the gun, and they say things they don't mean as well, and then they apologise because they realise they've been out of order. So I just feel that you've got to make sure that you clarify what you mean as well when you're writing something down, because it can be misconstrued. So and there's always going to be people that disagree. As long as you agree to disagree, and you do it civilly, that's the best way to go forward.
It's down to respectfulness, isn't it? It's you respecting that other people's opinion. Like, I respect yours, Ellie, I respect Mia's, and Mia's respect, you respect mine, or respect Philip's. So everyone's got different opinion. I look, personally myself, I just think that there has to be a united charge from the fans for us to unite. We are divided at the moment. We are all singing off different hymn sheets, but we all want the same thing at the end of the day, which is a better club for us. We deserve that. We are Tottenham Hotspur Football Club, not Levy, not the players, not the management. The fans are the club. If there was no fans, there'd be no Tottenham. So true. I think we have to understand what we're saying to each other, but I think there's a lot of miscommunication, as Mia said, and I totally agree with that. I think there's a lot of not getting what you mean outright and not respecting other people's opinions, and it is all about respect at the end of the day. We all are Spurs fans. So that's what it should be. So guys, just finish off in this segment about the fans booing. Do you think, Ellie, that with the players on the pitch, if say Højbjerg makes a bad pass and you hit the fans groan, or if Harry Kane misses a sitter or Sonny holds onto the ball too long, people are complaining. Look, fans will be fans. The fans do have a right to complain, don't they? They do have a right to voice their opinion. Should the players should this is more at the players than the fans, but should the players be more respectful to the fans than they are?
Yeah, do you know, I'll comment on something that happened in my area 252, right? So Lloris was arsing about with the ball, as he usually does, and his passing is atrocious, isn't it? We've seen it, and he puts players under pressure. And they're like, Dyer's not the best on the ball as well, like to receive the ball. He's quite slow, right? So we were all yelling at him. The whole lot of us were yelling at him, just go long, Lloris. And he listened to us. So fans can have an effect, you know, and it wasn't just our area, other areas did, but our area is very vocal, you know, and they give it to the players. I'm telling you, they don't hold back. It's like YouTube in area 252. But they really are honest fans. You know, they're honest. They say as they see it, right? And the way we influenced Lloris to go long, it improved our play. Because we actually got it up front, and we won a lot of balls up front as well. Because Harry can win a lot of those duels, or he'll get a foul, you know. Because he's brilliant at riding a foul. Our Harry is, you know. So it does work, and I just feel we have got a right to complain. You know, it is our club at the end of the day. The fans, we're the backbone of the club. We are the club. With, like you said, Dermot, without us, they've nothing. They would fold. So they've got to keep us happy.
But Bill Nick said that, didn't he, in the dressing room back in the 60s? The fans pay your wages. The fans, dude, you don't play for yourselves. You play for them. They will be here longer than any of us will be. So, which is so true. Mia, I'm going to start with you on this. We're on, of course, we're going to...
Can I just have one more say about that
thing,
what Ellie just said?
Yeah, of course you can.
Sorry, but that just proves my point of the booing situation, because if you can get something across to a player constructively instead of booing, that might have a better effect than just booing them, right? That's how I kind of see it. Like, if you instead of booing Lloris and saying every time he's trying to pass it out, you actually did say that to him, and obviously he did take note. That's where I'm saying that with the booing, it isn't constructive. Try and shout something out constructive to them. They might actually hear you and think about it. You know, that's where that's why I think the booing isn't necessarily going to work in any which way. So sorry.
Valid points, Mia. Very valid points. I enjoyed that conversation. That is something we will go back onto. Now, guys, we're going on to the Don himself, Mr. Paratici. Now, he launches an appeal to FIFA against his 2.5-year worldwide ban from football over financial malpractice. And after agreeing to step back from his role as sporting director at Tottenham. I'll start with you, Ellie, on this segment of the show. We have got ourselves into a right pickle over this, haven't we?
Yeah, it's a right big mess, isn't it? You know, like I don't know what happened. Didn't they do their research that this might come up? You know, the club before you employ somebody, or did they just overlook it because they thought he would be good for our club? You know, But it's a mixed match what he's done. He's done some good, some bad, so you can't really put your hat on him to say, even if he wins this appeal, will he be good for us long term? And anyway, I think Scott Munn's going to be his boss in the summer, regardless if he wins his appeal or not, because he's going to answer to him. So I don't know, it's just a weird one, isn't it? Didn't the club do their research? I mean, Levy's stringent like that, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, Ellie, you look at, I mean, it couldn't have got any worse than Steve Hitchen, to be fair. And for me, I think Paratici's done a brilliant job at the club. He's brought in some really good players. He's brought in Romero, he's brought in Kulu, brought in Bentancur. Okay, he's brought them in from the Italian league, but he knows that league very well. Some of the other buys haven't been great, haven't worked out. But, you look at Brian Hill, players like that probably will prove at the end of the day there were good investments. And Amir, I mean, what would you rate if Paratici does leave and his ban is not overturned and he has to leave? How would you rate his tenure as sporting director at Tottenham out of 10?
I would probably give him a reasonable 6.5. I think that he hasn't done fantastic. I don't think he's done, brought in players that we're all like, wow, that was like they really pulled that one off. But I don't think he's done awful either. So I think that 6.5 is probably a reasonable score, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Ellie, look, I'll go back to, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Mia on this. Does he deserve his Don title? I think he does. But do you think he deserves his Don title?
Up to a point, yeah, because I mean he brought us Kulu, Romero, and Bentancur, who are three fabulous players. Sorry, but then you've got to look at the other side of things. That's why Mia's giving him a 6.5, because he hasn't always. It's not, to tell you the truth, it's not his fault that Basuma didn't get a start. That was Conte's fault, because he didn't want to play him. He said he didn't fit his system. So maybe he should have consulted with Conte before he brought him in to see if he's the type of player that he would play. And then you've got Jed Spence. He will come to fruition, and Hill. So you've got three who've hit the ground running, and you've got two that can potentially be fantastic stars for us in the future. So, yeah, I mean, even Basuma, a new manager comes in, we might be saying something different by the end of next season. So I would give him a 6.5 as well. I wouldn't give him any more than that. 6.5, yeah.
Look, my opinion is, I think he's done okay. I'll give him a 7 or 7.5, 8 out of 10. I think some of the players he's brought in, like a Romero, like a Kulu, like a Bentancur, have improved our team brilliantly. Look, yeah, I'm just really surprised. I agree with you, Ellie, that they haven't done the research on this. They haven't done the due diligence of what was happening. I'll go with you, Mia. Look, you go back to Paul Mitchell and then Steve Hitchen and now Paratici, Mia. Out of all the sporting directors we've had, or director of football, do you think it's time we went away from that now and went down like the Brighton mould, that we follow how Brighton are doing it or how Brentford are doing it? Brighton seem to have more success of getting players in and showing this season how well they're playing than we are. So do you think we need to follow the Brighton mould, or do you think we just ditch the director of football altogether and just go back to how it used to be?
With the Brighton mould, I believe that what they do, they do analytics, because doesn't their owner own a company of some sorts that did like analytics and stuff. So I think they run a very specific system. Like theirs is very, very specific. But yeah, I think that having it that way isn't a bad, like having a specific way of trying to get good players in isn't a bad thing. Obviously not all managers work well with somebody like a Paratici, like a Poch doesn't. So again, you have to mould it around what managers you're going to look at. Are you going to look at managers that do okay with someone like that, or are you going to look at managers that are not going to have, that don't have that? So it also depends on managers, I think, what kind of manager you're going to go for, to whether you have like a director of football or not, or whatever title they're given.
But out of the three, like Paul Mitchell, Steve Hitch, and Paratici, if you could rate one better than the other, who would you rate as the best out of them three? I'll start with you, Ellie, on that.
I would put Paul Mitchell in front of Paratici, actually, because he brought us some fabulous players as well, and he really does scout well, Paratici, he knew those two players already. But he got us Romero, but what he failed to do is get us a top centre back, and they've all really done that. We've had Dyer in that position for quite a while now. All right, he did start off as a defensive midfielder, but he was soon changed to centre back. So we needed somebody, any of them, to bring in a world-class centre-back, or someone who's competent, and someone who can play with Romero and show him the ropes, like when we had Jan and Toby. But even with those two, we still didn't win anything. So, it's not a foregone conclusion that you're going to win if you've got a fantastic defence, but you've got a much better chance of winning a trophy if you're better at the back as well, because we can score for fun. We've shown it throughout the seasons.
And Mia, the last question on this segment of the podcast, is Levy the problem at the end of the day when it comes to transfers? Is he the stumbling block that has stopped Paul Mitchell, who left because of Levy, Steve Hitchen and Paratici haven't got the players that Conte, Poch, Mourinho, Jose wanted? Do you think Levy is the stumbling block?
I think that in some ways, because I do think that he has the final say, right? He's the one who has to who says the yay or nay on it. So I do think he obviously has that say. But am I going to blame everything on Levy because because if we go on that basis, then the people who blame Levy for the good signings have to also give him credit for the signings that were good as well. So, but people don't want to do that, Dermot. People want to just assume that everything's done by Levy that's bad, but not give him any of the credit then for any of the good players, because the good players, they say, oh no, that was Paratici, that was Paul Mitchell. And I don't agree with that. If you're going to give him discredit, then you also have to give him credit as well. So yes, he is at fault for some of the stuff, absolutely. But then I'm going to credit him with some of those players then, and give him credit for getting us those players, because I feel like that's only a fair thing to do. But I do believe that people who say that the directors of football don't have any kind of say, I don't believe that for us. I don't believe that every single one that comes in that they've bought have all been yes men to Levy. I honestly, I don't think that, because Paratici, apparently, according to sources, good sources, he was in charge of a lot of these players that were scouted. So,
Ellie, same question to you. What I've asked Mia?
All I would say is that I think he should go that extra little mile to get us those certain players in those key positions. Just don't stop when you've got a few players that are really brilliant to add to the team. Just add those few extra players and go that extra mile. That's what he's been lacking throughout the years. That's all I would pin the blame on him, because at the end of the day, he's got to sanction those extra signings that we needed. And we haven't got that extra mile, have we?
No. So,
but what I would say, sorry. What I would say to that, Ellie, is that while I understand that, maybe the way I see it is that it might be managers who don't want certain players, or they want such a specific player. And if a player doesn't want to come to us, what can Levy do? You know,
That's
what can
true.
they do? Because the thing is, you
Yeah.
can't force a player to come. So if like, for instance, Conte is very specific and he says, I want this specific player, and that player says, I don't want to come, or I'm not going to come out of my contract, or whatever it is, what can Levy do? And if Conte says, I don't want nobody else, I only want that player, then what's Levy's hands are tied behind his back, because the manager's saying, I don't want any other player. And then if he gets a player that's not as good, people will accuse him of not backing Conte, because they'll say that wasn't Conte's first choice. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
you can't
look,
do right for doing wrong, in a way.
Look, I don't think Levy should take all the blame. I think a lot of the blame should be placed at Steve Hitchen. I think he was an awful director of football. Some of the dross he brought in. I don't think he gets enough blame, to be fair, in my opinion. And that's just my own opinion. Look, the chairman's always going to get the blame for the good or the bad. Whatever happens, it's always going to go to the top. Look, I don't think Levy is this... he will have the final say, but I don't think he... Look, I'm going to come out and say now, I think he wants the best for Tottenham, but I think he goes the wrong way of doing it. I think he generally does want the best, and he has financially made us very secure and very off the field brilliant. I just think he needs to look on the field and leave football to football matters. And that actually brings us on, guys, to the new sporting, or his Paradici's new boss, Scott Munn. Now, let me bring this up. Where is it now? Here we go. This is Scott Munn, and he was appointed while we were off the air. I'm sure Mia and the Godfather did go into a little bit about it, but it's the first time me and Ellie have had a chance together on the stream to talk about it.
Yeah.
And this was the statement that was put out by Levy. He says, Scott has a unique and broad experience on running sporting organisations at the highest level and will take responsibility for the leadership and the management of our football activities to install the best practice both on and off the pitch. The club statements added as a reference in the chairman's statement from the last set of financial results, there has been an ongoing review over the past 6 months of all our football activities. Changes have been made and further improvements continue to ensure future progress and competitiveness. Scott's former City Footballer Group executive has an extensive experience within sporting organisations, having started his career with the Sydney Organising Committee for the 2000 Olympic Games and then transitioning into the National Rugby League before joining the Australian Football League. Scott joined Melbourne City as a chief executive in 2010, and in 2019 he was appointed chief executive officer of City Football Group China. Ellie, I'll start with you, if that's okay. Mia, sorry. No, who does I start with? No, I'll start with Mia this time, sorry. And then I'll go to you, Ellie. Sorry, I do apologise. I forgot which way I was trying to do it evenly. Mia, look, is this now a sign that Levy is now rarely handing over the roles to somebody else to deal with the football side, and he just deals with the business side? Are we finally getting to that point after 22 years that he's saying, right, I've had enough, I'll just do the business, you deal with the footballing side?
I don't know, because it'd be interesting to see what his actual role involves, because I can't really quite work out what his role actually does. There's no real pinpoint to what he actually is going to do. So I don't know if Levy will fully ever hand over it completely. I'm going to be honest. And I think he should, absolutely. But I do feel like that his job title is a bit kind of mishmash. Like, I can't quite work out what he is. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't know what to make of the whole appointment, if I'm honest. I'm a bit like, what is this? Like, what? Why? The club didn't really explain it clearly enough. That's what it is. They weren't transparent, in my opinion, to what he actually is going to do. There was nothing specific.
Yeah, I mean, Mia, look, is it? Are we seeing the handing over of the reins from one to another? I mean, Paul, Australian Paul, he was very good at Melbourne. Is it Melbourne City? where he was. He took them from one league up to their top league. He knows the Celtic manager very well. Are we heading down to an all Aussie team at Tottenham for next season with a new manager? Ellie.
Is that to me? Oh,
No.
to Ellie, that's it. Sorry.
Is that for me?
Yeah, it was to you. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I've been talking with Paul about Ange Postecoglou, and he's raving him up because obviously he's with Celtic. You see what happened to Steven Gerrard when he came to Aston Villa from the Scottish League. It didn't quite work out. That doesn't mean Postecoglou won't work out, but I don't know. It just seems like I'm with Mia. It's a bit confusing what his role totally is. Is he ahead of Paratici? Sorry, is he going to be fully in charge without no interference from Levy?
For what I can understand,
make that quite clear.
Yeah, what I can understand for all that, he's in charge of the football side, so he's the boss of Paratici, so he's on the board.
Yeah,
so he's on the board as the football man in charge of the football inside the Tottenham Hotspur. So of the organisation of all of the transfers. So his job is to get the youth academy sorted out, to make sure, get a new director of football in if Paratici's appeal is not successful, sort out with Paratici for the new manager. So everything's left to him. So are we looking at a new dawn on the football side of Tottenham, or is it going to revert back to the same old Levy has the final say? Do you know what can you see happening? Is he giving up the football inside? That's the point I'm sort of trying to make, and love to hear your opinion on.
I'm going to be a bit sarcastic. I can't see Levy giving it up. I just can't see him because he loves the power. He loves it to get his £5 worth in. He does. He's proven over the 22 years that he's been here that he loves it. I don't think he's going to fully give it up. And if he does, I'm going to be shocked. I really will if he doesn't get involved. But the business side's fantastic on.
Yeah.
You can't fault him on that. No one can say he hasn't done us a favour by getting us sustainable and making all these off-field activities go. The money is going into the club, so that is a good thing. But whether he gives it up, I'm a bit sceptical about that.
Yeah, we'll leave that conversation there for another podcast. I mean, the Levy podcast will be interesting. But look, for me, it's going to be good. But I'm looking forward. He starts in the summer, so let's see what he does. And fingers crossed, he does well at Tottenham. Right, guys, I want to go on very quickly, if we can, about VAR. Now, I'll start with you, Ellie, on this. You were there, and then I'll go to you, Mia.
Yeah.
I'll have my own opinion on this as well. Now, just very quickly, the PGMOL have contacted Brighton after the game Saturday and apologised, saying VAR should have awarded them a penalty following a Højbjerg challenge on forward Canuto Minty Monta in the league on Saturday afternoon. The Seagulls were denied the spot kick before Tottenham's Harry Kane scored the winner to seal the 3 points and ensure Spurs stay in touch with top four. Now, these are the three VAR decisions. Now, what I'll do the first one to you, Ellie. I'll do the second one to you, Mia, and then the third one we will all discuss as a tree. So, Ellie, the first goal, Spurs leading 1-0. Goal is ruled out for handball, but replay show it may have hit his chest. Look, for me, very quickly, I think it hit here, didn't it? It sort of hit up here or sort of here. So he sort of did that with it, if you know what I mean. I think it was the right decision. I think it should have been cancelled out. I think VAR got that right. Ellie, you were there. I don't know what you saw, what view you had of it.
Very close to it.
Was it a good decision by VAR to rule out by the linesman?
I was on the right side of him, right? So when the ball come over, it seemed to hit him underneath the arm, and then he put his arm down and it hit him at the top of the thing. So it depends how, like the linesman was saying like that, but what he really meant, it hit him under the arm, got it controlled, and then it came and bounced onto the top of his arm.
Mm.
So yeah, I think he was right that they disallowed it, because he did actually get it under control under his arm. So he lifted the ball up and then it hit him there. You see, without that action, he wouldn't have got the goal.
I mean,
You know, if it clearly hit him there, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It brings me back to that penalty against us in the Champions League final. If VAR had been in there, that penalty wouldn't have been given. So I suppose it has its advantages and disadvantages. Mia, the 55th minute, VAR rules out McAllister's goal for handball after he deflects in a Danny Welbeck shot. Look, for me, the biggest thing for me was how Hugo let that goal in. He let it go under his body, if anyone sees the video. I think that was very harsh, because I don't think McAllister could have got out of the way of that. And I think there should be I think this VAR should show lenience. It didn't change the direction of the ball, as far as I can see, very much. I think he was just in the way. He tried to get out of it. It's a 50-50 for me. I think VAR got that wrong. I think the goal might have stood if that was another game or another VAR official.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not, Dermot. Because you know why? Because you're not allowed to handle the ball before it goes into the net. It doesn't matter if you guided it in or not. If it touches your hand, any part of your arm in that moment, it does not count. Because if it was given, if it was one of our attackers, it would have been given as a penalty. So if it's given as a penalty, that means it can't be a goal. So that's how I see it. It doesn't matter if he tried to get out of the way or not. The fact is, he handled it for it to enter the net. You're meant to play with your other parts of your body. You're not meant to use any part of your arm.
The point I'm making is, Mia, there was something similar early in the season, and VAR gave the goal. So where's the consistency?
What goal was that?
It was early in the season. I think it was a Man United game. I can't really remember.
Okay.
I was early in the season. Yeah, it was exactly the same thing. And VAR have not been consistent this season. They've let some things go. Then the next match they've locked down in it, and then the match again. Then they've let it go again. I understand what you're saying, Mia. I do agree with you, and I do understand what you're saying. But the point I was trying to make, and maybe I didn't make it clear, sorry about that, was you see that on Saturday not given, but on another VAR official or somebody else doing VAR, they might give it. Do you know what I mean? It's VAR not consistent in following their own rules, or do you think that there has to be a change now for VAR to say, right, these are the set rules, you go by these rules, and make it simpler for the person doing the VAR? Do you think it's too complicated for them?
I think that what needs to happen is that when the VAR sees something, they should say to the referee, go and look at it, because then it's still in the referee's hands then. So then referees are making the decision on the field and VAR aren't. But if they spot something, they should alert the referee, say, go and have a look at it. And the ref should be able to look at it without any interference from any players. And if any players or managers do get involved, they should get an instant red. They should be sent off the pitch, because they should be allowed to get involved in that decision. They should be leaving the referee alone to make his own decision, and then the ref should look at that monitor and then decide for himself. That's how it should be.
Yeah, it should be. Now, guys, we're going to the penalty, and I just want first question. I want a yes or no answer for you. Was it a penalty? For me, yes, it was. Sadly, I think it was a penalty. Ellie, was it a penalty? Yes or no?
I disagree, and I'll give you my reasons why I disagree.
Just at the moment, yes or no?
No.
Okay. And Mia, was it a penalty?
Yes.
Right. Ellie, I'll start with you. Why don't you think it was a penalty? Is Ellie frozen? Mia, go on. Why do you think it was a penalty?
I think it's a penalty, right? Because...
Yeah, go on, Ellie. We can hear you. Yeah, go on, Ellie.
You want me to say why I think it's not a penalty?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
I think it's not a penalty because both the players came together, right? They both collided with one another, right? Højbjerg put his arms up to say, look, I'm away from this tackle. And as his foot came down, he trod on his foot accidentally. That was an accidental movement. It's not like he deliberately brought him down. And Matoma was putting his bum into his hip. You could see it. So he was looking for the penalty. That's my interpretation. And the referee said straight away, no penalty, because he saw it from where I saw it from. It was accidental. Two players coming together and Højbjerg pulling away. He never intentionally brought the player down. That's my interpretation.
Mia, you say it was a penalty, and I take it you disagree with Ellie, so this should be a bit fun. Right, why was it a penalty?
Because I think that even if it is accidental, we've seen accidental things happen in the penalty area and it is still given. Accidental or not, you trod on an opponent's foot. Like, that's how I interpret it. And that's obviously in general what the rule is. And if it wasn't the rule, they wouldn't have come out and apologised and said they should have given the penalty. So clearly that is the rule, isn't it? Like, we all know that was the rule and we did just get away with one. But yeah, to me, the fact they come out and apologise just proves that it was a pen. Or I don't think they did it I don't know if there was pressure for them to apologise. I don't know. They shouldn't have apologised because I think it just makes them look foolish. But that makes the referee look foolish as well because it undermines the referee's decision. But yes, I do think it was a penalty because I do think if you tread on an opponent's foot anywhere else on the pitch, it is going to be a free kick. So that's why it's a pen for me.
Yeah, look, for me, I think it was a penalty, sadly. I think them coming out and apologising firstly is the biggest indicator. I mean, for me, they should have made the referee go and look at the monitor. That's what they normally do. Look, Højbjerg, if he was trying to get out of the way, look, I love Højbjerg. I would never say anything wrong about Mr. Højbjerg. I've got his shirt behind me, which Ellie was a lovely present from Ellie, and it's up there, Ellie. It's there. It's behind me. Look, for me, it was a penalty. I think we got away with one. I think the gods were looking down on us that day. But look, guys, very quickly, VAR, where do we stand on it? And I'll start with you, Ellie, on this.
Yeah.
What changes do need to be made to make it more effective? And do you think we need to follow the routes of other sports like rugby or American football, where the officials explain to the fans why they've made that decision? It wouldn't take very long. Or is football too would it cause trouble in the stands if it was like a last minute and the penalty was given, the referee gave an explanation why not? Do you think that might cause trouble in the stands, or do you think we need to go look at the roots of rugby and American football where the fans are explained why that decision wasn't made?
Yeah, we could take a leaf out of their book, because fans want to be understanding of this VAR, and where it's all in the dark and then you have to wait 4 or 5 minutes sometimes for a decision to be get. It's frustrating. And you're cheering a goal and then they rule it off, and they more often than not they get it wrong, right? And they should be calling on the referee a lot more, like Mia said as well. Go to the monitor and let the decision. If they can't, if it's not a clear-cut penalty like Højbjerg's one, I don't think it was, right? Let the referee decide that. He's already said no penalty, but when he looks at it on the monitor, he might change his mind, because he's got a different angle. He'll watch it over and over again, and then he'll make a decision. But I think, to explain something to the fans, I think we're intelligent people, football fans. We're not stupid. We like to know what's going on. Where you're standing there like a lemon waiting for two people in a dark room somewhere to make a decision, and there's no explanation. It's really bad, and it's a bad sight how football's going.
I got to tell you a funny story. Me and Ellie were when I was over at Tottenham for the AC Milan. Me and Ellie were in the CAF, weren't we? The Tottenham CAF,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we
we
could see where they were setting up the VAR room for that evening, right? And I was
yeah.
very tempted to go in there and just write a little note, give Spurs everything, right?
Yeah,
Mia,
true.
one last question on VAR before we move on to our final topic of this podcast is, can we still get top four? We'll go through the fixtures and then we'll look at the table from third to seventh and see where we think it might all shake up at the end of the season. Do you think there has to be a time limit on VAR decisions, that they have a 30 seconds or 40 seconds to make that decision from start to finish? Or are you happy how long it normally? Do you think it takes too long to make these decisions at the moment?
Yeah, it does take too long. I think that maybe that's a bit too quick. So maybe about a minute and a half, especially for the offside decisions, because I think that's ridiculous. Some of them was just absolutely ridiculous. And the Richarlison's goal was still onside for me. I've watched it many a time, and it's still onside. I don't know how they ruled that offside. So if it takes longer than that, then the advantage should be given to the attacker. Just like that, they should go back to that rule that if it takes longer than a minute and a half to see, if you've got those lines and you can't see it straight away, then that means you're zooming in so much to see if it's offside. That shouldn't be the case. If you look at it and you cannot decide in a minute and a half if that's offside, then that's the advantage to the attacker, because it takes, you shouldn't have to zoom in to see if their toenail is offline, because all the pixels and all, no. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely a joke.
Yeah.
Absolute joke.
Right. We will have.
You know what also is a joke is that they draw the lines incorrectly. A lot of the time.
I've got my own
the wrong
opinion on that,
place.
Ellie. I think they're drinking in the VAR room myself, and that's why
Do
he's
you
a
know
bit
what I
shaky.
mean? They've got a
you know?
bottle of whiskey somewhere.
Yeah. Look, that is, I would love to do a podcast just on VAR, and we will do that. That will be probably episode 2 of this new podcast show. Be me, Ellie, Mia, or me, Ellie, and the Godfather, talking about VAR and what we can do and where it needs to be made improvements. Right, we're going on to the final bit of the podcast now, and it's a simple question: can we still get top 4? Now, guys, these are the next 4 fixtures we have. Now, of course, we won at Brighton. We've got Bournemouth, of course, the game I was supposed to be going to, and I'm disappointed I'm not going, but for obvious reasons, I decided to knock on the head. And Ellie, I was looking forward to seeing you again. But look, I'm sure you will come into around the ground on Saturday when you're at the ground and get us a program while you're there, will you?
I will do.
Yeah. And I was looking for. Then we've got Newcastle away, Manchester United at home, and Liverpool away. I think I'll start with I'll start with Ellie first on this one. Who did start with last time? Was it you, Ellie, or you, Mia? So
I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
I'm trying to be fair.
Toss a coin.
I'm trying to be fair. Well, I'll start with you, Ellie. Just simple questions. Bournemouth, Newcastle, Man United, Liverpool to start off with.
Ooh.
How many points?
I think we can get 8. I think that's the best we can get.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle, the best we can get is a draw. We're not beating them. No way. Man United, we can beat them. Bournemouth, we can beat them, and we can draw with Liverpool. As long as we turn up at Liverpool like we did last season and we pulled out a draw. Yeah, we can manage. I think we can get 8.
Mia, where are you going for the next 4 games?
I'm going to agree with Ellie on that. I think 8 is reasonable, because I don't think that Liverpool are really hard, because we should have won both times against Liverpool last season and we didn't. And we're always pretty close with Liverpool. It's never one of those games where they absolutely smack us. They're not looking great, but as you can see from the game they've just had with Arsenal, once that crowd gets up, if you get that crowd back up, you are in for trouble. So we need we need to keep it calm and not rile them up at all. Like, we need to keep really calm heads on our shoulders if we want to go and get a draw. Newcastle, they're on a high at the minute, and at home again, that's a really rowdy crowd, like they like to take their tops off and all sorts. They're crazy up there. I love their passion though. I do love their passion.
I know where Mia's going on the next summer holiday and the girls weekend away.
Oh no, not that. Anyway, I'm not going to comment. But yeah, that's the thing. They've got that passion and they really bring it to the stadium. So those two games are so difficult. Man United are a bit up and down. And if they haven't got Rashford, I feel like that's a game that is winnable. It is a winnable game. Bournemouth, we should be beating Bournemouth at home. Like, for me, that's a game we should be winning. Like, come on. If we can't beat Bournemouth at home, I don't know what the heck we're doing. No. So, yeah, I think 8 points is reasonable.
I'm going to disagree with the pair of you. I think we're going to beat Bournemouth 3. I think we're going to draw at Newcastle. And I can't see us beating United or Liverpool. I think we're only going to get 4 points at the next 4 games. Look, Bournemouth at home we should be beaten. I agree with you both. Newcastle is not an easy place to go to at the moment. Newcastle have got their backs up. They're fighting for top 4. The fans are rejuvenated up there now. And look, and I'm happy for Newcastle because I think everyone deep down, Newcastle is their second team because everyone loves Newcastle. The fans have suffered so much up there. I think we'll get a point up there. Man United at home, that could swing either way. It depends. Look, the 2 away games for me is where we don't turn up because the players don't turn up because of the atmosphere. It's been before, guys, where they've gone to places like Mora, or we've gone away to Man United, or we've gone away to Newcastle, or we've gone away to Arsenal and we just crumble. That's why I haven't got the confidence. I think Liverpool away, the best we probably might get is a point, but I don't think we will. Mia is right. You get them Liverpool fans' backs up, you are in trouble. And that showed yesterday. And I think that proved with the Arsenal game last year, guys, where Arsenal went up there and Liverpool turned them over because of something on the touchline. It got the crowd going, it got Klopp going, it got the players going. So, look, 4 points for me. I don't like saying it, but that's just how I feel at the moment.
But how can you say that when Man United is at home? So you just said about the away game. So Man United, I think without Rashford, I think that's a reason. They've been up and down as well themselves, United, and they're playing on other fronts as well. Don't forget that. And Liverpool, we've always... Can you remember, Joe, I can remember the game against Liverpool up at their way when I think it was Toby scored an own goal at the last minute. They always get a last-minute winner against us at Liverpool. They never smash us up there, though. It's always a very tight game.
Look, I agree with you on the Man United thing. I do. I understand where you're coming from. It's just my gut feeling. But look... Okay, then, look, I'll go for a win against Bournemouth, a draw against Newcastle. I'll go for a point against Man United, and whatever happens at Liverpool. But guys, very quickly, because we'll soon be finishing. This is the table.
Yeah.
Now, this is Newcastle's in 3rd, United 4th, Tottenham 5th, Villa 6th, and Brighton are 7th. Now, Newcastle play 29, Man United play 29. Us and Villa have both placed 30, so we're up to date. Brighton have 2 games handing us. Is it 2 games? Yeah, 2 games. Now, there's 10 points between Brighton and Newcastle. I'll start with you first, Mia, then I'll go to you, Ellie. Name me your top 4. Well, from name out of 3rd to 7th, where teams going to finish.
Oh, this is so difficult. I think Brighton have got quite tricky games. They've got quite hard games as well. I remember looking them up and thinking they've got to play Man United. They've got to play, I think they've got quite a few tough games. So I do think that it's between us, Newcastle and Man United. I think that Villa are playing really well at the moment. And Joe, hats off to them. If they get Europe this year, that's massive for Aston Villa. That is huge. And I do think Brighton as well. So I think they will get Europe, but I don't think it'll be top four. So I think it's going to be us, Man United, Newcastle for the third and fourth spot. And then I think that Aston Villa, Brighton, it's going to be either them, like one of them is going to be in one, like the sixth place and the fifth and the sixth and the seventh place. Personally,
Ellie,
Yeah,
where do you think where are they all going to finish in the league? Do you think?
I think it's between us and Man United for top
Mm.
four. I think Newcastle are more or less, because their defence, look at their defence, 21 goals conceded, 48 goals scored. So I
Yeah.
think they're pretty safe to
Mm.
get that top four spot. But us and Man United, it all balances a lot on that game we play them as well, and how well we do in the two matches before we face them. So
Mm.
if we can get a draw at Newcastle and beat Man United, I think we're going to get top four. Because Man United, especially if they lose to Brighton in that FA Cup semi-final and they get knocked out of Europe, I think that's going to have a detrimental effect on their mentality,
Mm.
right? And you've seen it in past years where teams have faltered because they've come out of competitions. I just feel it's between us and Man United.
Mm.
See, I think we want them to continue in Europe, Ellie, because then that means they're fighting on two fronts, which means their minds are set in two different ways, which is good because you don't want them just to have the Premier League to concentrate on. We want them to be in Europe for as long as possible because then all their concentration is going to go into Europe.
Mm.
Yeah, are they at the quarterfinal stage at the moment?
Yeah, they are.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
I agree with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't see it that way, Mia. So, yeah,
Look,
yeah. It depends. That Brighton game if Brighton beat them in the FA Cup as well, that's going to put us on them.
Look, from my opinion, I think goal difference is going to come into it. Look, we've got a better goal difference than Villa and Man United. So that could come into it. Look, for me, it's going to be, look, if we beat Newcastle and beat United and get a point, say, Liverpool, we could finish third. If Newcastle and Man United have a bad run to the end of the season, there's no way, there could be a chance we could finish third, we could finish fourth, could finish fifth. I don't think we're going to finish any lower than fifth. But I think we've got the opportunities in our own hands. We've got to get points against Newcastle and Man United. We've got to get good results to get them to get higher in the league. Look, for me, I'm going to put it out there. I said Tottenham third, Newcastle fourth, Man United fifth, Brighton sixth, Villa seventh. That is my pick. But listen, we will get on to that as the season goes on. We will do more of these looking at the thing. Well, listen, guys, I want to thank you very much. We tried to keep this under an hour. We're doing it by 2 minutes to spare, but very good. Mia, do you want to give your channel a plug? Spurs Between the Lines. It's a brilliant channel. Mia is a jewel in the Spurs community's crown, along with Ellie, the two queens of the Spurs community. Anyway, for me, of course, me and Mia do joint shows on our channels. We do a link up. So we're trying to drag Mia to 1,000. Get her up there. She deserves it so much. So Mia, just very quickly, just where can people find you? Just extremely quickly there.
People can find me at Spurs Between the Lines. If you watch it, give me a subscribe and hit the like on all my content. Give it a watch. I would really, really appreciate it.
Lovely.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ellie. We will be doing the podcast on the women's side of the game during the week or next week. Hopefully Mia will join us for that. We will be podcasts will be coming out all this week. We're doing a Golden Game podcast or a Golden Game podcast tomorrow for tomorrow night, and then on Thursday, I'm not sure yet if I'm doing this as a live or a pre-record. We might do it as a pre-record. I'm not sure. I need to discuss it with the guys. But why I miss my Tottenham, which the four of us will be on. So it'd be me, Philip, the Godfather, Queen Ellie, and Princess Mia, as we like to call her on here as well. Listen, thanks for watching. I hope you have a lovely rest of your evening. Whatever you do, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and please share. And if you're there, please pick up a membership. $2.99, $4.99. They are worth the thing, because we are bringing out a members only fan show. Whatever you do, thank you so much. Whatever you do, and find us on Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and also on YouTube, also on Facebook. Contact any of us if you want to talk to us. We will gladly talk to you. That's what we're here for. And we'll see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock with Newsbeat with myself, Ellie, and Mia, maybe, or just me and Ellie. So take care. God bless you all. Come on, you Spurs. In something we trust.
Oh.